In a time when every major civilization in the galaxy turned away from a dying world, Earth heard the silent cry. The galaxy turned its back, but Earth said, "You're not alone." Maya sat alone in the quiet room, watching the stars through a wide window. Earth's orbit station was beautiful, full of lights and machines, but her heart felt heavy. It had been over a year since Aaron left. Aaron wasn't human. He was volatile, quiet, kind. His skin had a soft silver glow, and his voice was always calm, even when things were difficult. Maya met him when she worked in the language lab at the United Human Alliance. He came as a guest to learn Earth languages. She helped him practice, and they became close. They would spend hours talking, sometimes about science, sometimes about dreams. Aaron told her about his home, Velen 3. It was a quiet planet with blue grass, tall glowing trees, and a soft yellow sky. It sounded peaceful, too peaceful for war or politics. But that peace came with a cost. The Galactic Council didn't care much about Velen 3. It was too small, too poor, too quiet. When Aaron left to return home, Maya thought they would stay in touch. But soon after, the messages stopped. She tried again and again to contact him. Nothing, no reply. Then one day, she saw a report. Velen 3 had been removed from active support by the Galactic Council. No aid, no contact. Forgotten, Maya stared at the empty screen in front of her now. She still checked the old communication line. Nothing ever came through. But she couldn't stop hoping. One night, while working late on satellite signals, something strange happened. A broken signal blinked on the edge of the system. The computer flagged it as unimportant. But something about the pattern looked familiar. Maya clicked it open. The message was weak and damaged. But it was from VELAN-3. Her hand shook as she worked to clean the audio. The voice was quiet and broken, but it was Aaron. "Anyone, please. Help. Fading. We are still here." Tears filled Maya's eyes. Aaron was alive. His people were alive. But no one had answered. The galaxy had turned away. The council said Velen 3 was lost and moved on. Bigger problems, more important planets, but not Maya. She stood up. She had never led a mission. She wasn't a hero or a general. She was a signal tech. But maybe that was enough. The next morning, she brought the signal to her supervisor. "I need to speak with Commander Ward," she said. Her supervisor laughed softly. "You think they'll send a fleet for one dying planet? I don't want them to send a fleet," she said. "I want them to listen." Maya was given 5 minutes in front of the United Human Alliance panel. 5 minutes to tell them why Velen 3 mattered. She walked to the center of the room. Dozens of officers, scientists, and diplomats watched her. She didn't bring charts. She didn't bring numbers. She brought a voice. She played the broken message. The silence in the room was long. Then she spoke. "You all know the Council has rules. Rules about what makes a world worth saving. But rules can be wrong. A year ago, a Valari student named Aaron stood in our labs. He learned our language, talked about friendship. He told me Earth had heart, that we were different." She paused. "Now he's begging for help. And I'm here to ask, Quill, we be the kind of people who ignore him? Or will we be the ones who say, 'You're not alone'?" No one clapped. No one cheered. But that night, someone approved her request. The message was sent to Earth's ambassadors. A small relief team was greenlit, not a warship, not a fleet, but a signal of hope. Maya sat back at her desk and smiled softly. She didn't know if Aaron would hear her. She didn't know if they could reach Velen 3 in time, but for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel powerless. She was part of something. A quiet voice across the stars. A light in the dark. A message. To every forgotten world, you're not alone. Asterisk, the galaxy made its choice to ignore the weak and protect the strong. But Earth chose differently. The galaxy turned its back, but Earth said, "You're not alone." Ada. Aaron sat on a quiet hill under the fading sky of Velen 3. The grass was no longer blue. It was dry and gray now. The wind was cold. Sun barely gave light anymore. He missed Earth. He missed the energy, the people, the feeling of being seen. But most of all, he missed Maya. She had helped him feel welcome when he was far from home. She smiled every time she explained something new, like coffee machines or how humans dance when they're happy. She was kind, always listening, even when he didn't know the right words. When he left Earth, he thought they would stay close. But Valen 3 had changed. The planet was growing weaker, and power lines failed more often. When the government shut down the old communication satellites, Aaron could no longer send messages. He tried using a local beacon, but the signal was too weak. Months passed, then a year. He worried she would forget him. Sometimes at night, he whispered into the dark, hoping anything would carry his voice across the stars. But he heard nothing back. Now, he sat on the hill, watching another transport ship break apart in the sky. It had tried to leave the planet, but Valen 3's orbital rings were falling apart. No one came to help anymore. The Galactic Council had spoken. Valen 3's not essential. They said it nicely, using words like limited resources and strategic value. But Aaron knew what it meant. They had turned their backs. The Council's aid ships stopped coming. The trade stations closed. The planet was left alone to fade into silence. He felt a deep emptiness inside. Not just fear, loneliness. He thought of Maya again. Her bright eyes, her strong voice, her belief that kindness still mattered. He remembered her saying, "On Earth, we don't leave people behind." He wondered if she still believed that. Far across the stars, Maya stood on a balcony, overlooking the Earth Embassy on Luna Station. She looked out at the stars, wondering if Aaron could see the same sky. She still thought of him every day. Since the message, she had worked non-stop. She built a report, gathered data, and spoke with every official she could find. She even sent a formal request to the Galactic Council, asking them to reconsider support for VELAN-3. The Council's reply arrived 2 days later. A flat message declined. Maya stared at it for a long time. She felt like crying, not because her request failed, but because they didn't even ask why she cared. They didn't ask who Aaron was, or what Valen 3 needed, or what it meant to help, even when there was no reward. But she refused to give up. She walked into the Earth Union Hall, holding the letter in one hand. Inside, Commander Ward and his team were already in discussion. She waited patiently until they finished. Then she stepped forward. "They said no," she said quietly. Commander Ward nodded. "We expected that." "What now?" she asked. He looked at her serious and calm. "Now we decide if we listen to their no or if we listen to our own hearts." She didn't need time to answer. "We listened to ours," she said, that night. She typed a new message, this one not to officials, but to the people of Earth. She told them about Valen 3, about the silence, and about the voice in the dark. She told them about Arendt. The message spread quickly. First a few liked it, then thousands shared it. A young girl in Canada sent solar blankets. A school in Nairobi raised money to sponsor one relief pod. A retired pilot offered to fly a long-range shuttle into dangerous space for free. Soon, a message reached Maya from a far station on Mars. "Count us in. You're not alone either." Back on Valen 3, Aaron walked through the streets of his fading city. People were tired, shops were closed. The council building was dark. Then, for the first time in months, a screen on the public wall lit up. A soft voice played over the speakers. "It was Maya," she said. "We are coming." Everyone around him stopped, heads turned. Children stared. "We heard your message. You are not forgotten. You are not unimportant. You are not alone." Aaron felt his knees weaken. He leaned against the wall. His voice had reached her. She had heard, she had answered. For the first time. In so long, he smiled. Maybe Earth was far away. Maybe they were different species. Maybe he didn't know how to fix everything. But something stronger than distance had found. Hope? While empires looked away, one voice from Earth echoed through the stars. The galaxy turned its back, but Earth said, "You're not alone." Maya sat in her small room at Luna Station, staring at the ceiling. The soft hum of the station surrounded her, but inside, she felt quiet and still, even though she had spoken in front of the council. Even though Earth had approved a small aid mission, even though people across the planet had started to support her message, she still missed Aaron. She missed the sound of his voice. She missed how he would tilt his head when thinking, or how he smiled when she told bad jokes. Most of all, she missed the connection they had. A simple, honest bond between two beings from different worlds now. All she had was an old photograph of them from the Earth language lab. They were both laughing. It felt like a moment from another lifetime. She had tried to message him again, but Velen 3's signal was still weak. No reply. Came through? Was he still alive? Did he see her broadcast? Did he know she was trying? These questions filled her heart every night. But Maya was not the type to stop trying. She believed in action. She believed in reaching out. Even when the other side seemed far away, that was what being human meant to her. Not just surviving, but caring, even when it was hard. So she got back to work. She recorded a new message. Not for governments. It's not for leaders. For Aaron. She looked directly into the camera and spoke simply. "Aaron, I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if this will reach you, but I want you to know, I haven't forgotten." She paused, her voice shaking a little. "You told me once that Earth has heart. I want you to know that you were right. People here, strangers, are trying to help now. Because of you, because of your planet, because you matter." She smiled softly. "I hope this message finds you. I hope you're safe. And I hope one day we meet again." She sent the message to every satellite and every com relay connected to Velen 3. She also posted it on Earth's public channels, and something surprising happened. People started to listen. Her message was shared millions of times. Every continent responded with kindness. Children drew pictures of Velen 3 and taped them. On school walls, doctors offered to join the relief team. Farmers offered seeds that might grow in Valerie soil. A retired engineer designed a portable water purifier and said, "Send this. Maybe it helps." And everywhere, people added 3 simple words to their messages. "You're not alone." Back on Velen 3, the days grew colder. The air was thin. But in one small village, a miracle happened. A communication officer named Tiln picked up a strange signal. It wasn't from the council. It wasn't a warning. It was a voice. He called Aaron immediately. When Aaron arrived, the screen was blinking. Small light played. And Maya's face appeared. Her voice came through the speaker. Aaron didn't move. He listened to every word he heard. Her say his name. Saw her smile. His eyes filled with tears. "She remembers," he whispered. She didn't forget. Others in the room stood silently. No one spoke. No one interrupted, because in that moment, something changed. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were seen. They were heard. The message was short, just a few minutes long, but it brought something they hadn't felt in a long time. Hope, Arin, pressed his hand gently to the screen. "I hear you, Maya," he said softly. "I hear you then." He turned to Tiln. "We need to send a reply." "It may not go far," Tiln warned. "The signal will be weak." "It doesn't matter," Aaron said. "We send it anyway." That night he recorded his own message. He stood under the stars, the dry wind brushing against his face, and he spoke Maya. "Earth, thank you," smiled, even as the wind stung his eyes. "Your voice reached us. Your kindness reached us. And even if this message is only a whisper, in the dark, I want you to know we're still here. We believe again." He paused, then added one last thing. "I believe in you." He sent the message, not knowing if it would be heard, but something deep inside told him it would. Because sometimes, the most powerful signal in the galaxy is the one sent from the heart. Captain Alina Rhodes leaned against the edge of the observation deck, staring into the vastness of space. The stars outside sparkled like quiet fireflies, but her heart felt heavy. She had led many missions in her life, some for science, some for diplomacy. But this one was different. This one felt personal. It wasn't about power or alliances. It wasn't about winning. It was about answering a simple message from a forgotten world. A message that said, "Help us." She had heard Maya's speech on Luna Station weeks ago. She had watched the recording and felt something shift deep inside. Her Earth wasn't rich like the core worlds, wasn't ancient like the older races. But humans had something that many others had forgotten: heart. And now, Maya's message had sparked something new. Project Havenlita, small but strong. Fleet of peaceful ships carrying food, medicine, engineers, doctors, and Hope Dodalina had volunteered without hesitation. Now, her ship the Solace was the lead vessel in the fleet. 4 ships followed behind her, all carrying what the Valari people needed to survive. But the path wasn't easy. They had to cross 3 dead zones, regions of space, where no signals passed and no help would come. They had to avoid hostile pirate zones and pass through the edges of unfriendly empires that still followed the old council orders. Alina knew the risks, but she also knew the reason. Somewhere out there, people were waiting. And one of them, a young man named Aaron, had finally replied. She had watched his message too. "We're still here. We believe again." That one line stayed with her like a quiet flame. Meanwhile, Maya was back on Earth, watching updates on the Havenlight fleet every hour. She couldn't sleep much. She kept checking the coordinates. The fleet was slow. The navigation was hard in these old, silent parts of the galaxy, but they were moving. She felt nervous and helpless. Like waiting outside a hospital room, she missed Aaron more than ever now. She had heard his voice older, tired, but still gentle. She wanted to talk to him. Really talk. Not just messages or video logs. But she didn't know what to say. What if too much time had passed? What if things had changed? Still, she held on to hope. That was what this mission was about. Not giving up. Even when everything feels distant. One night she walked into the cum room alone and opened a private log. She stared into the camera for a long moment, then began, "Aaron, I know the stars feel big, and I know I feel far away. But I never stopped thinking of you." She smiled softly. "I didn't know how to reach you, but I kept trying, and maybe trying is enough." She didn't send the message, not yet. But just recording it helped. On board the Solace, the crew passed through the second dead zone. Communication was nearly impossible. Lights flickered. Navigation systems had to be adjusted every hour by hand. Morale dropped. Food had to be rationed. Engines overheated. One of the ships, the Ember Line, lost power for 2 days. But no one gave up. A young mechanic from Mars rewired a cooling core using only spare parts. Medical officer from Indonesia treated a sick pilot with nothing but dried herbs and clean cloth. And when one of the crew members started crying from stress, another simply sat with them and listened. No speeches, no orders, just human presence. Human. Comfort. It reminded Alina why she had joined this mission. It reminded her that hope didn't come from having all the answers. It came from not walking away. Back on Velen 3, Aaron stood outside the old landing field. The sky was darker than before, and the air was cold. Every day, more families moved into the deep shelters. Food was low. Energy was fading. But something strange had begun to happen. People started sharing again. A baker gave his last loaf to a mother. With 3 children, a teacher opened her home to students, even though the roof leaked. Even the elders, once silent, began speaking again, telling stories of light, of stars, and of voices that would never stop calling. And every night, Aaron would look up and whisper, "Maya, come soon." He didn't know how she would get there. He didn't know if she would, but he believed. And that was enough to keep the fire alive aboard the Solace. Captain Elena stood once more at the observation deck. This time, something new appeared in the wall. Distance. A faint blue light blinking through the darkness. A signal. VELAN-3. She smiled and whispered the words she had repeated every day since the mission began. Hold on, we're almost there. When no one else came, Earth arrived. The galaxy turned its back, but Earth said, "You're not alone." The sky above Velen 3 was quiet. No birds flew there. No engines hummed. For a long time, the only sound was wind moving over dry ground. Then one day, a strange sound came from above. It was soft at first, just a low hum. Then a second sound followed, clean and clear, not like anything Volari machines made anymore. Aaron looked up from the city's old tower and felt his breath catch. There, cutting through the gray clouds, were lights, not stars, ships, human ships. They had come. He ran to the edge of the building and waved, though he knew they couldn't see him. His heart beat fast. People below began to gather in the streets, faces lifted, mouths opened in disbelief. Children pointed, elders wept. After so long, someone had finally come. Earth had come. Captain Alina Rhodes stood at the front window of the Solace as her ship lowered gently into the atmosphere. The damage to the planet was worse than she imagined. Dead forests, cracked buildings, broken power lines, but the people were there. Waiting, watching, she turned to her crew. Let's show them who we are. Cargo doors opened, and soft, warm. Lights shone down. Out walked the first aid team. Doctors, engineers, and translators followed. They carried solar batteries, warm packs, clean water, and food. They didn't come with weapons. They came with open hands. Alina walked down the ramp first and stepped onto Volari's soil. Her boots crunched on dust. But then, a quiet voice called. Out, Alina. She turned. It was Areen. She recognized him from Maya's recordings. He looked tired, thinner, older, but his eyes were still kind. He stepped forward, and so did she. I'm Aaron, he said. She smiled. I know. Back on Earth, Maya watched the live transmission. She sat frozen as the first images from Velen 3 appeared on screen, people hugging, children smiling, human medics wrapping blankets around the sick. Then, suddenly, she saw him dot awry. He was standing with Captain Alina, speaking to her with a soft smile. Maya's eyes filled with tears. He was alive. He was safe. But she felt something strange. Yes, but also sadness. Because even though he was there, she was still far away. She had helped this mission happen. She had sent messages, inspired action, and spoken up. But she wasn't on VLAN-3. She wasn't there to see his face in person. To hear his voice without a screen. Between them, she missed him. More than she had before. Aaron walked through the recovery center with the Earth team. He showed them the shelter where families slept, broken power station, the places where water had stopped running. He spoke calmly, helping the human translators understand his people's needs. But inside, his heart ached. He kept thinking. Of Maya, he had seen the message she sent weeks ago. He had listened to it a dozen times. He knew she cared. But she was far away now, and the distance between them felt bigger than space. He wanted to talk to her again, to ask her how she was. 2. Tell her what had happened here. To thank her properly, but he didn't know how. He didn't want to send a message that felt too simple. He didn't want to sound too emotional. So, like her, he waited. That night, as the first lights powered on across the Volari, city flickering. But real Captain Alina held a small communication tablet in her hand. She called Maya. I thought you'd want to see something, she said. She turned the screen toward a large courtyard. Children were laughing, playing under solar lamps. People gathered around tables, eating hot meals. Doctors treated patients with soft voices and smiles. And in the center of it all, stood Aaron. Maya smiled, her eyes wet with happy tears. He's doing well, Alina said. But I think he misses someone. Maya paused, then asked softly, Do you think I could send him a live message? I think he'd like that very much. The next day, at sunrise, a screen lit up in the middle of the new relief station. Aaron stood nearby, speaking to a young Volari girl. When someone called his name, he turned and froze. Maya's face appeared on the screen. She looked nervous. A little shy, but then she smiled. "Hi, Aaron." He stepped closer. She continued, "I've missed you. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know if I should. Even if we're far apart, even if things change, what we shared was real." He nodded slowly, his eyes fixed on hers. "And I don't want to lose that," she said. "I don't want to stay silent." A pause. Then Aaron spoke softly. "You're not silent, Maya." He smiled gently. "Your voice reached me when no one else did." The crowd around them didn't cheer. They simply watched, quiet and touched. Because in that simple moment, something beautiful happened. Two hearts across the stars reached out and held each other again, and hope once again lit the sky. Asterisk, not everyone welcomed Earth's compassion. The galaxy turned its back, but Earth said, "You're not alone." Maya sat at her desk, staring at the holoscreen. She should have been happy. The Velari people were recovering. Earthshade was helping. Solar lights now shone where darkness once lived. New gardens were starting to grow. Clean water flowed again. She had seen Aaron's face. He had smiled at her, but something inside her felt heavy, even after all the good that had happened. The messages started coming in. Angry messages from other planets, from powerful council voices. Earth is interfering. Earth is setting. A dangerous example. Earth should stay in its place. She scrolled through them in silence. Some called the mission a waste of resources. Others accused humans of helping only to gain influence. One message said, "Let Velen 3 fade. It's nature. You humans are too soft." Too soft? Maya shook her head. Was kindness now weakness? Was helping wrong? Why did hope scare people so much? On Velen 3, Aaron walked along the newly repaired garden path. Small green plants stretched toward the pale sky. Human and Velari children worked together, planting seeds. But behind the laughter, trouble was brewing. A message had arrived from the counselor, formal warning. Cease Earth operations within 30 days, or sanctions will follow. Some of the older Velari leaders were afraid. "We don't want war," they said. "We are not worth fighting over." Others blamed Aaron. "They came because of you," one elder whispered. "You brought Earth here?" Aaron stood silent, heart sinking. He only wanted help for his people. He didn't want conflict. And now, he felt like he had caused something bad. That night, he sat alone on the rooftop of the shelter, staring at the stars. He thought of Maya. He thought of her courage, her voice, her smile. She had believed in him. But now, distance filled his heart. Again, not just the stars between them, but fear, doubt, and silence. On Earth, Maya walked into the United Human Alliance building. She met with Commander Ward and other Earth leaders. She spoke clearly. "We don't turn our backs on people because it's easy. We help because it's right." "But the Council may cut trade," one officer warned. "They may close routes." Another added, "We may be punished for caring." Maya looked around the room. "Then let them punish us," she said. "But let history remember Earth showed up." The room was quiet. Then Commander Ward nodded slowly. "We will not leave Velen 3 in response to the Council's threat." People on Earth began speaking up. A writer on Venus posted, "Compassion is not weakness, it's power." Mechanic on Luna wrote, "If Earth is soft, it's because we feel. And that's our strength." All over human space, voices rose. Peaceful, strong, united, they said. "We choose hope. We choose help. We choose each other. And most of all, you're not alone." Back on Velen 3, Aaron sat in the garden, hands in the soil, when a child ran up to him with a tablet. "There's a message for you," the child said. He opened the screen. It was Maya. This time it wasn't just a message, it was a song. Her voice, soft and clear, filled the garden. A simple, human song about home, distance, and love. It wasn't perfect. It didn't need to be, because it came from the heart. As her voice echoed over the quiet fields, people stopped to listen. Velari and humans alike. Aaron closed his eyes and smiled, tears slipping down his cheeks. The fear in his chest melted. He remembered something she had said a long time ago. In the Earth language lab, distance only matters if we stop reaching. Picked up the tablet and recorded a reply. Maya, he said gently, your voice is stronger than any wall they build. You remind me of what matters. We're still here. We're still reaching. And we won't stop. The next day, the Council sent a final warning to Earth. But Earth didn't leave. The aid ships stayed. The doctors stayed. The hope stayed. And in quiet corners of the galaxy, something began to grow. Small planets whispered to each other, if Earth hears the forgotten, maybe they'll hear us too. People who once hid their pain now looked to the stars and believed again. Not in power, not in politics, but in each other. From one act of mercy, a movement began. The galaxy turned its back, but Earth said, you're not alone. Maya sat in a quiet room at Luna Station, her hands wrapped around a cup of tea that had gone cold. She stared at the wall, thinking about Aaron, about the people of LN3, and about the growing noise in the galaxy. More and more messages were coming in, not just from the Council, but from other forgotten worlds. Planets left behind, colonies abandoned during resource cuts, small communities struggling in the shadows of the powerful. They all wanted to talk to Earth now. They all wanted to be heard. But Maya wasn't sure how to help them all. She felt overwhelmed. She missed the quiet days when helping one person and felt simple and clear. Now the weight of so many voices filled her heart. It was beautiful, but heavy. She closed her eyes and whispered, I wish you were here, Aaron. I don't know what to do. On Velen 3, Aaron walked through the new library. It had been rebuilt with help from Earth. Solar lights lined the ceiling. Children sat on the floor reading Earth books translated into Valari. He smiled, but inside he felt the same as Maya. He missed her. They still sent each other messages, but the calls were often delayed. Schedules were full. Time zones were different. He didn't want to bother her. He didn't know how to say, I wish we could talk more. He missed the quiet hours when they used to sit together, drinking warm drinks, talking about everything and nothing. Even now, after everything. The distance was still there. A distance not made of stars, but of silence. Back on Earth, Maya had an idea. She gathered a team of engineers, teachers, doctors, and volunteers. They worked day and night to build something new, a peaceful connection system. Powered by human satellites, open to all. It wasn't a government project. It wasn't run by any military. It was called the Circle of Care, a space-based communication network made just for support, learning, and unity. Any world in need could join. No politics, no money, just help. It started small, just 6 planets, but within a week, 12 more joined, then 20, then 40. Stories began to spread across the stars. A child on a desert planet received books. From Earth, a farmer on a flooded moon learned how to build a clean water pump from a human tutorial. A lonely girl sent a message across the network saying, I thought no one cared. She got over 1,000 replies, and each message ended the same way. You're not alone. One night, Maya opened her personal inbox. She found a message from Aaron, but this one was different. It was a video. She pressed play. He was sitting under the glowing trees of Velen 3, now alive with light. Children played behind him. The sky, though still pale, was brighter. I've been thinking about us, he said softly. About how even though we talk, I still feel far from you sometimes. And I know you feel that too. He paused. But then, I realized something. The whole galaxy is learning how to feel close again. We're all finding each other, one voice at a time. And maybe that's what we're doing too. He looked into the camera. I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I do know this. Wherever you are, I'll keep listening, keep reaching, because you taught me how, he smiled, and because I believe in you. Maya watched the video twice. Then she recorded her own reply. She sat by a window, stars behind her. I miss you too, Aaron. And yes, I feel the distance, but I also feel the connection. She laughed softly. Isn't that what it means to be human? To feel everything? At once? To be afraid, but still hope? To be lonely, but still love? She took a breath. Let's not wait anymore. Let's not wonder if we're bothering each other. Let's talk. Even if it's just for a few minutes. Even if all we say is, "How was your day?" She smiled. I'll always want to hear your day. Weeks passed, and every day, Aaron and Maya spoke. Sometimes short calls, sometimes long. Sometimes they laughed, sometimes they just listened. But the silence was gone, and across the galaxy, circle of care grew. More worlds joined, more voices spoke, and Earth was no longer seen as just a planet. It was seen as a light that didn't shine for power but for people. Maya looked out at the stars one evening and whispered the words that had started it all, even when the galaxy turned away. Earth said, "You're not alone." And now, the galaxy was listening. Asterisk, a single promise changed countless lives. The galaxy turned its back, but Earth said, "You're not alone." Maya stood quietly on the observation deck of Luna Station. The stars shone bright above her. The Earths below looked small and blew her home. Her heart, it had been many years since the first message from Velen 3 reached her. Many years since she first heard Aaron's voice. She thought about the journey, the long, hard path Earth took to say, "You're not alone." She thought about the many people who joined the circle of care, people who believed in kindness, even when others said it was foolish. She smiled, because kindness had won. Aaron's. A message had reached her years ago, but now the distance between them had shrunk. They talked often, sometimes for hours, sometimes in silence, sometimes through laughter. Maya remembered the first time they met in the language lab. She still had the old photo, a reminder of how a simple friendship could change everything. She thought about Velen 3 too, how it had slowly come back to life. Green fields were growing again. Children ran in parks. Homes had light and warmth, and the Valari had a new hope of future. On Velen 3, Aaron stood in the Parliament building, now filled with delegates from many worlds. He was no longer just a student or a voice in the dark. He was an ambassador. He spoke with passion and honesty. Earth showed us that hope is real, he told the room. They did not turn away. They stood with us. And because of that, we stand taller today. He paused and looked out at the crowd. Because Earth said, "You're not alone." We learned to believe in each other again. Back on Earth, Maya received a message from Aaron. It was simple. "Come visit, Dad. Let's finish this story together." Her heart beat fast. She knew the journey was not over, but she also knew this. Distance could never stop connection. Time could never stop hope. And no matter how far apart they were, they would never be alone. The circle of care had grown to connect. Dozens of worlds, trade routes reopened, not for profit, but for friendship. Scientists shared discoveries, teachers exchanged lessons, doctors traveled to heal in the galaxy. Listened. Maya looked at the stars and thought about all the voices that once felt lost and small now. They sang together, not a song of power, but a song of kindness, a song of hope. As Maya prepared for her journey to Velen 3, looked at the photo one last time, she smiled softly. She whispered, "Thank you, Aaron, for teaching me how to hope." She knew, wherever the stars would take her, Earth's promise would shine bright, because the galaxy had learned the greatest truth: no one is truly alone.